I met Renee at an airport lounge, of all places. I wasn't flying anywhere. I was picking up my boss at the time, who flew in from London every few months for investor meetings. I was still new to the company, dressed way too formal for a baggage claim, trying to act like I belonged around men who wore smartwatches that cost more than my car. She walked past in her uniform, neatly tucked blouse, navy blazer, luggage gliding behind her like it was floating, and gave me the kind of look people give when they're trying to figure out if they've met you before. They hadn't. She smiled anyway. We started talking at the little coffee station near the private lounge gate. She was waiting for her crew to debrief. I was killing time. She was easy to talk to. Confident. A little sharp, but in a way that made me laugh. It turned into exchanging numbers. Numbers turned into drinks. Drinks turned into weekends. And not long after that, she started leaving a few things at my place whenever she had layovers in the city. We got married just over 2 years after we met. Nothing huge. City Hall, her parents, my sister, and a few coworkers who didn't bail last minute. Renee never wanted the big dress or the 100-guest reception. She said she preferred to spend on things that lasted, like the honeymoon. We did 3 weeks in Thailand. She booked it herself, flights and all, with the kind of perks you only get when you've clocked thousands of hours in the air. We bought a home just outside Phoenix the following year. 2 stories, stucco, modest yard, quiet cul-de-sac. It was close enough to the airport for her, and far enough for me to breathe between projects. I work in tech consulting, remote for the most part, though I travel now and then. Renee liked that we weren't both stuck behind desks. She said it kept things interesting. We had 2 kids, both under 10. Our daughter, Ava, came first, quiet, observant, so much like Renee it's scary sometimes. Then Owen, full speed energy and zero fear. Renee was a different kind of mom. She didn't do crafts or obsess over lunchboxes, but she showed up. When she was home, she was in it. Story time, park runs, board games that ended with someone crying. She knew how to juggle. When she was away, we had our rhythm. Video calls, voice notes, little surprise postcards she'd mail mid-route to keep the kids excited. She knew where every vending machine was in every international terminal and what time zone to call from so they'd be awake. The kids didn't complain. They liked the mystery of, where's mom this time? Renee loved being a mom. That surprised me at first, not because she wasn't nurturing, but because she was so career-driven when we met. I thought it might be a difficult shift for her, balancing long-haul flights with baby schedules. But when Ava came along, she didn't miss a beat. She had this way of clicking into whatever role she needed to play. On a plane, she was crisp, precise, collected. At home, she was loose, warm, full of energy. She could go from greeting first class to singing Baby Shark off-key in the kitchen without blinking. We made a good team. I handled the mornings, school runs, breakfast chaos, last-minute sock hunts. She took the evenings whenever she was home, usually turning dinner into some kind of game to keep the kids from whining. The kids adored her. Even when she was gone for work, they'd ask when she'd be back like it was a countdown to a party. When she flew, we stayed connected. She'd send selfies from the crew rest area, pictures of the sunrise over the clouds, little videos of hotel rooms that Ava would immediately try to rate like a hotel critic. Sometimes, she'd FaceTime us from crew lounges or layovers, still in uniform, asking what the kids wanted from duty-free. And when she was home, she was all in. No scrolling through her phone at dinner, no ducking away from the bedtime stories. She had this energy that made even the ordinary moments feel like something extra. I remember one weekend when she turned the whole living room into a flight simulator for Owen's birthday. Made tickets out of construction paper, gave the kids snack carts, wore her old uniform blazer. It was chaos, and it was perfect. She knew how to make things fun. She knew how to hold attention. It wasn't about being loud, it was just that you wanted to be near her. The kids knew it. I knew it too. Our marriage was strong. Not performative, not Instagram perfect, just honest. We talked. We laughed. We fought sometimes, but never dirty. She'd call me out when I got too in my head with work, and I'd tell her when she needed to slow down and sleep more. We respected each other. We shared the weight. And we celebrated the wins, no matter how small. She'd come back from a tough flight and I'd have her favorite takeout waiting. If I finished a tough contract or pulled off a tight deadline, she'd sneak out and get that chocolate mousse cake from the overpriced bakery she swore was too much until she decided it wasn't. We had our routines. We had our people. We had Friday movie nights with popcorn and the same 3 Pixar films in rotation, dance parties in the kitchen when Owen refused to sit still, slow Sunday mornings with pancakes shaped like letters. It wasn't extravagant. But it was ours. And we were happy. Not in a fragile way. Not in a "we're getting through it" way. In a real way. Our life had a rhythm. And it was a good one. Weekdays were a balance. I worked mostly from my home office, handling client calls, proposals, and timelines that stretched across time zones. Renee's schedule was more fluid, some weeks packed with flights, some open and easy. When she was gone, I held things down at home. When she was back, it all just clicked into place. No fights about who did what. No competition. Just flow. The kids didn't feel like they were missing anything. If anything, they bragged about their mom being in the sky again. Owen would draw airplanes and tell his teachers his mom flies to space. Ava started collecting foreign coins from the countries Renee landed in. She kept them all in a little velvet pouch on her nightstand like they were treasure. We traveled when we could, always booked smart. Renee had her flight benefits, and I knew how to work points and off-season deals. Weekend getaways turned into week-long breaks without breaking anything else. Beach villas with shaded decks, city apartments with skyline views, family suites with more space than we needed. She liked nice things. Always had an eye for it. But not flashy, clean lines, good quality, thoughtful pieces. The kind of wardrobe that rotated by season and somehow always felt current. She shopped smart, too. Knew which brands held value, which stores stocked early. And she looked the part every time she walked out the door. Effortless but never accidental. Our home reflected that, too. Open kitchen with a long island the kids used as a drawing table in the afternoons. Big windows, soft lighting, shelves filled with books and a few too many candles. It wasn't some cold, perfect display house. It was lived in, warm. You could tell someone cared about making it feel like home. We hosted, too. Dinner parties with her crew friends, or neighbors who'd become regulars. The fridge always had sparkling water in glass bottles. The kind of cheese that came with wrapping instructions. She'd arrange things on platters like it was second nature. I'd handle the wine, the music, the grilling. Ava would sneak cookies from the kitchen when she thought no one was looking. It never felt like we were on. It just felt like us. She was respected, too. Not just by friends or coworkers, but in our world. Other moms admired her ability to juggle flights and still show up for field trips. My friends used to say I married up, and I never disagreed. Renee had that presence. Walked into a room and you'd notice, even if you didn't know why. We had future plans, too. We talked about moving somewhere quieter in a few years, maybe up north, something near trees and water. She wanted a wraparound porch. I wanted a workshop in the garage. We joked about starting a little cabin rental someday, something slow-paced. You'd never last, she'd say, smirking. You need internet that doesn't make you cry. I loved our life. It felt like we'd built something real, not rushed, not patched together. Built. And we were good at it. Whatever came up, we handled it together. Renee had 5 days off between flights, and we made the most of it. No big trip, no suitcase packing, just time. The kind where you wake up late and still have pancakes ready by the time the kids wander in with bedhead and half-open eyes. She liked being home in those windows, when she didn't have to think about flights or crew briefings or how many hours she had left in the time zone she woke up in. We spent the first day doing nothing at all. She stayed in her robe past noon, hair in a clip, mug in hand, flipping through a magazine while the kids dragged every blanket in the house into a pillow fort. I worked half the morning from the patio, just listening to the quiet background of family sounds. Later that afternoon, she made her version of airport pasta, the kind she said the flight crews always scarfed down on short layovers, but dressed up now with real garlic and a splash of wine. We ate outside as the sun dropped low behind the neighbor's roofline. Owen got sauce on his shirt, Ava said the noodles were too long to be elegant, and Renee made both of them laugh by twirling a giant fork like she was demonstrating for a first-class passenger. That night, we sat on the couch with a movie playing but barely paid attention. She leaned her legs across mine and scrolled through her phone, looking at house listings in towns we'd never lived in, just to imagine what it would be like. It was a game we played sometimes. "Would you live here if we could teleport?" she'd ask, showing me a 5-bedroom with a wraparound porch in Oregon or Maine or Montana. I always said yes. She always said I wouldn't last a week in a town without Uber Eats. The next few days, we got things done. Ran errands, replaced a lamp, finally fixed the drawer in the kitchen that never quite closed all the way. We went to the kids' school picnic, where Renee helped Ava's class glue together popsicle stick towers while I tried to stop Owen from launching himself off the playground ladder. Everyone knew her. Other parents, teachers, even the woman at the bakery who remembered her usual. She had that kind of presence. People felt familiar with her right away. She gave just enough charm to make you feel special, but not so much that it felt forced. And she was never fake about it. That Saturday, we hosted a backyard cookout, small, just some of the neighbors and 2 couples we'd known since before Ava was born. Renee had the table set up in 15 minutes like she'd rehearsed it. String lights, citronella candles, drinks chilled in a bucket she pulled out of nowhere. She looked relaxed. Grounded. The kind of woman people looked at and thought, she's got it all together. And she did. We all stayed out late, the kids half asleep on lawn chairs with marshmallow on their cheeks. Renee threw a blanket around Ava and carried her inside like she weighed nothing. She smiled at me over her shoulder and mouthed, "I love this." I smiled back. Me too. Renee had a short overnight route coming up, nothing major, just a standard domestic back and forth. She packed light. 1 bag, neatly folded uniform, her usual little black pouch with her toothbrush, serum, travel-sized everything. She always had it ready to go. It was practically muscle memory at this point. She left right after lunch. Gave me a kiss, hugged the kids, promised she'd FaceTime before bedtime. Nothing unusual. That night, she did call. Not a video chat this time, just voice. Said the Wi-Fi at the hotel was spotty. I didn't think much of it. She sounded tired but upbeat. Told Owen to stop eating his own hair and promised Ava she'd bring back one of those weird snacks from the airport vending machine. We talked for about 10 minutes. Then she said she needed to rest and hung up. Next morning, I was getting the kids ready when I noticed something odd. Nothing serious. Just her toothbrush, still sitting in the bathroom holder. I stared at it for a second, like my brain needed time to process what I was looking at. She always brought it. She had a travel pouch specifically for that reason. It was one of those slim electric ones, light pink with a gold base, and she always packed it first. It was the only one she used. Never touched the backups under the sink. I figured maybe she forgot. Not a big deal. But it made me look in the drawer, where she usually kept her overnight stuff. The pouch wasn't there. So she did pack, just not the brush. Still not suspicious. Just out of character. I texted her a photo of Owen holding up a drawing he made. She replied with a string of emojis and a, "Tell him I love it." No mention of the toothbrush. I didn't bring it up. She came back the next afternoon. Walked in like she always did, shoes off, bag dropped, arms wide for the kids. Nothing in her voice, nothing in her posture, nothing that felt wrong. She brought snacks like she promised. Some kind of seaweed chip Ava pretended to love and Owen immediately dropped on the floor. We made dinner together. She told me a story about a passenger who ordered 3 ginger alesh in a row and winked at the crew like he was breaking some rule. She laughed telling it. I laughed listening. Before bed, she went upstairs to shower while I cleaned up the kitchen. When I came up, she was already in bed. Her phone was on the nightstand, screen dark. She had her glasses on, half reading a book she'd started weeks ago. I kissed her, slid in beside her, and turned off the light. Nothing felt wrong. But in the morning, her toothbrush was gone. Back in the pouch, back in the drawer. Back where it should have been. And that little detail stuck with me longer than it should have. Renee had another flight 3 days later. International, this time, an overnight to Madrid with a return the following evening. She'd done the route before. Said the crew liked the hotel, and the landing was one of her favorites. I remember her standing at the counter packing while talking through the time difference and how the breakfast buffet in the lobby had real espresso, not just pods. She was light-hearted. Relaxed. Hugged the kids extra long before she left. Gave me a wink at the door. "Keep em alive, Captain." The flight out was smooth. She texted me a photo from the plane's galley, smiling, coffee cup in hand, blurred passengers in the background. The kind of thing she usually posted to her crew group chat. She said Wi-Fi might be spotty after landing, but she'd check in when she could. She didn't message that night. No FaceTime, no goodnight. I figured she fell asleep early. The time zone made it easy to miss bedtime routines back home. It happened sometimes. No big deal. In the morning, I made the kids breakfast and opened the dishwasher to grab mugs. One was missing, hers. Not odd by itself, but she always put it away before trips. She hated leaving things out. Said she liked to come back to a clean start. The mug was in the sink. Empty. Dry. No lipstick on the rim. Which meant she'd washed it. But I hadn't seen her use it the morning she left. I stood there longer than I should have, just holding it. Then I rinsed it again, out of habit, and went back to packing school lunches. She texted that afternoon. Landed. Just woke up. Crew's meeting in the lobby in 30. Love you. Short. Normal. Later that evening, after the kids were down, I sat on the couch flipping through channels and realized I hadn't seen her scarf, the one she always packed. Not the uniform scarf, the personal one. Dark green, soft, cashmere. She used it as a wrap on overnight flights when the cabins got cold. Always folded it in the side pouch of her carry-on. I checked the hook by the stairs. There it was. Still hanging. Still neatly looped. She never left it behind. I told myself maybe she switched to something else. Maybe it wasn't cold enough. Maybe she got a replacement. Maybe I just didn't remember things as clearly as I thought. When she came home the next night, everything looked normal. She was tired, but not drained. Asked about the kids. Gave them the little chocolate bars she always brought from international flights. She even joked that she'd gotten asked out by a passenger who wanted to take her to a castle, and asked if she was single. I laughed. She laughed. It didn't feel forced. But when she unpacked, the scarf wasn't there. Neither was the backup one. And I noticed she hadn't brought back a new shampoo bottle this time, something she always did when they stayed at hotels she liked. She'd swipe the good ones and bring them home. This time, nothing. The bag felt lighter. Like something was missing. But not in a way I could explain. The next few days were calm. Too calm, if I'm being honest, but only in hindsight. At the time, I was just glad we were home together. We had movie nights, ran errands, did all the usual life stuff. Renee wasn't acting different, really. She still helped Ava practice her spelling words and tried to teach Owen how to tie his shoes, even though he'd rather go barefoot for the rest of his life. But the little things were starting to echo. She mentioned she had a short 3-day turnaround coming up, 2 flights, 1 overnight, 1 full day off in between. Same route she'd done before. She even said, should be easy. No tension in her voice. She made a face like she was already bored just thinking about it. The night before she left, we sat in bed watching reruns of a cooking show we used to like. She leaned into me, warm, familiar, her fingers playing with the hem of my shirt. It was nice. Except, I noticed her nail polish was chipped. Renee didn't do chipped nails. Ever. It wasn't about vanity, she just didn't let herself get that undone. She'd redo them late at night if she had to. She had a tiny kit in her travel bag just for touch-ups between flights. It wasn't dramatic. It was just, her. I almost asked if she wanted me to grab her the file. But I didn't. The next day, I made her coffee while she packed. She looked over her shoulder at me and asked if I could drop off a return for her at the post office. Small box, already sealed. I tossed it in my passenger seat after she left and didn't think about it until I got to the line and saw the label. It wasn't one of the brands she usually ordered from. It was some boutique I hadn't heard of. I scanned the label, return address was a warehouse in LA. Still not unusual. But when I gently pressed on the top of the box, I could tell there wasn't much in it. Maybe 1 item, 2 at most. She'd already taped it shut. Out of curiosity, I looked it up later. Boutique-style sleepwear. High-end, minimalist branding. The kind of thing she didn't usually buy. Again, not wrong. Not out of bounds. Just, outside the usual. She texted that night when she landed. Said she was exhausted, and that she might sleep early and skip the gym in the morning. I sent her a photo of Owen asleep with marker on his cheek. She sent back laughing emojis. I asked, how's the hotel this time? She said, same. Dated carpet, strong coffee. The next morning, I passed the laundry room and noticed her usual set of in-flight compression socks on the drying rack. Still there. She usually packed them on back-to-back flights. Not this time. I wouldn't have noticed that a year ago. But now, I was clocking everything without meaning to. That night, she didn't call. Said her phone died and she crashed hard. I believed her. But I charged her backup battery pack 2 days earlier. It was still plugged in next to the bed. She hadn't packed it. And I didn't ask why. She was scheduled for one last flight that week, something short, domestic again. Left early Thursday morning and said she'd be back Friday night, no layover. Just up, down, done. I made breakfast while she packed. She was in a rush, digging through her closet for the cardigan she liked to wear on early flights. I pointed out that it was already on the back of the chair by the window, and she gave me this little laugh like she'd already looked there twice. Before she left, she stopped at the door, circled back, and kissed me again. Be good, she said, in that playful voice she always used when we were still new. Then she was gone. The day moved slow. I worked from home, took the kids to the park after school, made spaghetti for dinner that Ava said was too stringy and Owen said was perfect. We FaceTimed my sister that night, played a quick game of Uno, and by the time I got them both into bed, it was almost 9. Still no message from Renee. I sent her a text, all good? No reply. That wasn't unusual. She sometimes didn't check her phone until the final cabin sweep was done. I figured she'd text once she landed. Around 10:30, I got the notification. A message request. From a name I didn't recognize. No profile photo. No text. Just a video file. At first I thought it was spam. I almost deleted it. Then curiosity, or maybe instinct, got the better of me. I tapped to open. And watched everything I understood about my wife disintegrate in a 14-second clip. The footage was grainy. Vertical phone camera. Aiming toward the narrow door of what I instantly recognized as an aircraft lavatory. Renee stepped out first. Her hair was slightly messy. Her blouse was untucked on one side. She was smiling. Laughing. And then a man followed. He was in uniform too, not a flight attendant. A pilot. He leaned in and kissed her like he had the right to. Hands low, tight around her waist. She didn't pull away. She kissed him back. Quick, like it was familiar. Like it had happened before. Then she smoothed her hair, straightened her shirt, and walked off like nothing happened. The clip cut off. My phone slipped out of my hand and landed screen up on the carpet. I didn't pick it up. I sat there, staring at the wall, while my heart didn't race, didn't pound, just thudded like it had turned to stone. It wasn't just the kiss. It was the routine of it. The comfort. The fact that someone else filmed it. Someone who saw it happening and decided to send it to me. No caption. No warning. Just the truth, dropped like a lead weight in the middle of my night. She was flying that day. Just not the way I thought. I don't remember falling asleep that night. Just sitting there with my palms pressed together so tight my knuckles went white, the kids asleep upstairs, and the house so quiet it made me sick. I didn't call her. I didn't text. I didn't even try. By the time the garage door opened the next evening, I'd been standing in the same spot for 15 minutes, waiting. She walked in like nothing had happened. Rolled her bag across the tile, kicked off her shoes, called out, "I'm home." I didn't answer. She turned the corner into the kitchen, smiled when she saw me, and reached to hug me like she always did. I stepped back. Her smile broke. "What's wrong?" she asked, voice dipping into that careful tone, like I was the one who'd done something off. I pulled out my phone. I didn't say a word. I just pressed play. The video ran again, just as clearly as before. Her. The lavatory. The pilot. The kiss. The touch. The laugh. I held it in front of her face, close enough that she had to see every frame. She stared. Then she blinked. And didn't speak. "Say something," I said. My voice wasn't even mine anymore. It felt like it belonged to someone else. Someone trying not to scream. "That's not," she started, then stopped. And I snapped. "Not what, Renee? Not you? Not a kiss? Not his hands on you in a bathroom?" Her mouth opened again. She reached for me. I slapped her hand away. "Don't touch me. Don't you dare." She started crying, sharp, fast, ugly. "Please, let me explain, you were on a plane." I shouted. "A plane you told me you were working. While I was here, feeding our kids, covering for you, missing you, you were in a damn airplane bathroom with him." The words came faster. Louder. Angrier. "I cleaned this house for you. I packed your bags. I helped Ava write you postcards. I loved you. I backed you up every time your schedule changed, every time you were tired, every time I had to explain to our children why their mom was gone again, and this is what you were doing." She collapsed into a chair, sobbing into her hands. I walked out of the room. I didn't leave the house. I went upstairs. I opened my laptop. I found the contact info for her airline's HR department. It wasn't hard. I attached the video, added 2 lines. Employee caught engaging in inappropriate conduct with another staff member during flight. Video attached. Sent. I didn't even hesitate. The next morning, I spoke to a lawyer. Told him I wanted sole custody. Told him I had proof she'd been engaging in conduct that put the kids' well-being second. Told him I didn't trust her to lead their lives anymore. By the time she came down the stairs with puffy eyes and a weak apology forming, I had already locked down the accounts and started moving her things into the guest room. She reached for me. And I didn't flinch. I just said, "You destroyed it. All of it. And you're not going to destroy our kids next." And I walked out the door without another word. The next few days moved like a machine I didn't have to control. Once I told the airline, things started unfolding without me needing to push. HR followed up. Asked if the video had been shared elsewhere. Asked if I had a time and date. They were professional. Cold. Which I appreciated. I sent the file again, this time through their formal system, and that was it. They didn't need anything else from me. She was pulled from rotation the next morning. They placed her under review by the end of the day. By the time she checked her schedule that evening and realized she was no longer assigned to any upcoming flights, her face had already lost its color. I didn't say anything. She didn't ask. She walked through the house like it didn't fit her anymore. Like the walls had started pushing back. The kids were with my sister for the weekend, and the silence in their absence made everything sharper. Cleaner. She tried talking to me twice. Sat at the edge of the couch and waited for me to make eye contact. I didn't. I wasn't interested in her side of the story. There wasn't one. I'd already spoken to my lawyer again. Showed him the airline's confirmation email. He nodded. Said it would help. Said family court looked at patterns. Said a person who could make those kinds of choices mid-flight, on duty, in uniform, while married with kids, wasn't someone a judge would feel comfortable giving shared custody to. I didn't want to make the kids a weapon. That wasn't the point. But I also wasn't going to pretend that the woman who'd lied with that much ease, that much consistency, could just slide back into parenting like nothing had changed. She tried. God, she tried. Started waking up earlier. Tried to cook. Told Ava she'd read to her at bedtime. But Ava hesitated. Kids feel energy before they understand it. Owen didn't say much, but I caught him watching her with a kind of confused distance, like he didn't know what version of her he was going to get. Then came the call. She'd been terminated. Not just suspended. Not furloughed. Terminated. They cited conduct violations, ethics, breach of contract. She cried when she read the email. Said it was unfair. Said she was just human. That it was mistake. I didn't respond. I'd already heard everything I needed to. She lost her job. She lost her benefits. She lost the only lifestyle she'd built for herself since college. And now, she was sitting on the same couch where our kids learned to walk, trying to figure out how to start her life over with no job, no uniform, no flight schedule to disappear into. She started asking about money. About our shared accounts. I told her they were no longer shared. She asked if I'd changed the house locks. I hadn't. Yet. She asked if I still loved her. And I didn't answer. Because love didn't belong in this house anymore. She'd thrown it out with both hands, and watched it fall. It's been 3 weeks. She's still in the guest room, for now. Waiting. I think part of her still believes this is a phase. That I'll come around. That we'll talk late into the night and unravel it like a complicated knot and find a way back. But I don't want a way back. I filed for full custody last Friday. My lawyer thinks it'll hold. Between the video, her termination, the timeline, it paints a clear enough picture. The court date is set. She doesn't know yet. I'll let her get served. Let the system explain it. I'm done doing her emotional labor for her. She tried to talk to me again this morning. Came into the kitchen in one of her old hoodies, the one she used to wear on long layovers. Said she missed us. Said she was scared. I nodded. Then walked past her. I don't feel like explaining how many nights I lay in that same kitchen, wondering how to be two parents at once while she was texting me from time zones I didn't understand. The kids are okay. Better than I expected. Ava asks a few more questions now. Why doesn't mommy fly anymore? When is she moving? Why does she look sad all the time? I answer honestly. Not cruelly. Just enough to tell the truth without wrecking their world. She's going through something hard. She made some choices we're still figuring out. I'll always make sure you're safe. That won't change. Owen just wants things to go back to normal. He still runs through the house like nothing's changed. But he doesn't draw airplanes anymore. That stopped the day after she came back from that flight. She knows this version of her life is over. You can see it in her face now. That tight, fake hope she wore like makeup when this first happened, it's gone. Now it's just the quiet kind of panic people carry when they've lost the one identity they never thought would leave them. She used to fly every week. Lived in lounges, hotel rooms, layovers. Her suitcase was always half-packed. Now it's collecting dust in the corner of a room she doesn't own anymore. And she walks slower. Like every step is her trying to remember how she ever got to this point. I didn't make her lose everything. She did that. I just took away the places she could hide from it. There's no uniform. No flight schedule. No inbox full of bookings and gate numbers. Just silence. And the weight of what she chose to ruin. Sometimes I still hear the echo of that video in my head. The sound of the door opening. Her laugh. The casual ease of it. The way she didn't hesitate, not once. That's what ended it. Not just the cheating. But the way she walked back into the cabin like it didn't matter. But now she knows. Now she knows exactly what it costs when you forget the people who are holding your life together. And I never have to remind her again.